Call it 6. You good? All right, everybody, let's get started. Welcome to the Lincolnville Selectmen's meeting. It is the 25th of October. Whew. Josh, would you please read the quote of the evening?
Sure. Generals are always prepared to fight the last war. Winston Churchill.
Thank you very much. I'd like to open the podium for any non-agenda items. Seeing no one rushing to the podium, let's move along to the administrator's report.
Just to let people know that absentee ballots are available for the election that will be conducted on Tuesday, November 2nd. For those that don't vote absentee, we'll be in the gymnasium at the Lincolnville Central School from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Per school policy, face masks are required. We will make accommodation to assist anybody that votes that cannot wear a face mask, but please come prepared. We'll also hand you one if you don't have one there. The only other thing I have to report was on the agenda is dog licenses all expire at the end of the year. They're now available here at the town office, or you can do it online if you so choose.
Wonderful. Any questions for David under the administrator's report? Okay. Let's move along to upcoming meetings and announcements.
All meetings are here in the town office unless announced otherwise. The Lakes and Ponds Committee is scheduled to meet Tuesday, October 26th, 7 p.m. Meeting that's not on the agenda, the Board of Selectmen will have a special meeting on Wednesday, October 27th, 5:30. Planning Board meets Wednesday, October 27th at 7. Broadband Committee meeting Thursday, October 28th at 6. School Committee meets on Monday, November 1st, 6 p.m. Although the agenda says remote meeting, they have both the ability to watch remotely, but they are meeting in the school and open to the public, mask required. Recreation Commission is scheduled to meet Thursday, November 4th, 5:30. Location to be determined. Call the town office to make sure, because we're not even sure if they're really meeting. And the Board of Selectmen will meet next in regular session on Monday, November 8th, 6 p.m.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And I did mean to bring to everyone's attention under the administrator's report that David and I both forgot the broadband update on the agenda. So if it's okay with everyone, if we just want to roll that into Selectmen Updates for this time, since we forgot to include it. Okay, good enough. Any upcoming community events anyone wishes to share other than voting? All right, let's move along to the meeting minutes. The first set of meeting minutes are from the 12th of October.
I move that the board approve the October 12th, 2021 meeting minutes as presented.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Nope.
Seeing no discussion, all those in favor? Thank you all very much. And we have a second set of meeting minutes from the 18th.
I move that the board approve the October 18th, 2021 meeting minutes as presented.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
I feel that I should not vote on that because I wasn't present.
Okay. You can,
Okay.
if you want. So all those in favor? And one abstention?
Yes, I would
Okay.
like to abstain.
Wonderful. And I'm guessing our guest is,
I do not see him in the room, so
do we,
I would move to
seeing as how,
I would move to the next, and I'll see if I can summons his presence.
all right, we will push pause on a conversation regarding our winter road maintenance. And next up is agenda item number 7. We have Ms. Harshbarger here to address the board. Would you care to come up to the podium and introduce yourself, please?
I have these little handouts that just together, and
Thank
I know
you.
you have them. I didn't know if you had any kind of
Well, thank you.
audio-visual equipment.
This is the best kind.
Oh yes, we have all of this,
Thank you.
but thank you.
It will keep me on track,
Great,
probably more than anybody.
yes.
me talk to you tonight. I've never been to one of these meetings, so it's nice to see you, and I've been on some Zoom ones before. But I've been a resident full-time. I've been a little bit about myself. I've had a piece of property here since 1988, so 33 years, and was a part-time resident. I'm a full-time resident now and have been for the last 5 years. So as part of the process, as I look at the next, I took a camp and I made it my home, but I'm ready to build something where I'll call it age in place for the next 20 years. So I hired somebody to see if I could put a septic field on my property, which is adjacent to the house I'm in. So there's another lot next door to me. And the answer was it would work. So I said, let's go ahead then and see about building. So I'm learning, and I've hired Vision Builders and Greg Haining, a local company, to do the building. And I'm working with a structural engineer that's in Maine. His name is Jesse. So something that can I take this off and just talk? Because I feel better. I guess I learned that the current construction and permitting guidelines are based on 2012 information, so they're older. And when I looked at they're based on actually direct costs of construction and materials and labor. That's how the permitting is done. And when I looked at the amendment history of the laws that are in place, it started in 1999 and then was adjusted in 2004 and in 2005 and in 2006. And up through 2012, but nothing has really been done since. So there was an annual review. It seems to me that things have been let lie for over 10 years now, and we all know with the cost of building and supplies that those costs have increased for building. The way that a permit works, which kind of blew my mind and my builder's mind, to be honest, is that the base amount is $200,000 to build a home, and that is a $400 permitting fee, and a plumbing is $200. But then if a home costs more than $200, it's a per $1,000 charge of $5. So if you build a house for $650,000, your permit's $3,650 for just the home. So looking at that, I thought that perhaps it would be a good idea to look at other communities in the area to see what they do. I mean, I think every town is different in how they come up with their formulaic approach to permitting. And considering the current cost of construction, I would ask that the committee look at this and moving forward, and perhaps either increase the base threshold from a $200,000 minimum to something more than that that's more relevant for the cost to build a home, or perhaps decrease the sliding scale, which is the cost per $1,000. So that is all I had to say, and thank you.
Questions for Sally?
No, but thanks for bringing it to our attention. Yeah.
Sure.
Karen, any thoughts, questions for Sally?
At this point, no. It'd be interesting to see what David has to say about this, and also our code enforcement officer.
Sure.
Yeah, agreed.
And I'm a little surprised that our code enforcement officer didn't bring this to our attention, but that's neither here nor there at this point right now. And I do see that you have asked for us to reduce your costs. I'm not sure when your targeted build time is. That's something that will probably happen in due municipal time.
Sure.
Which we joke about that, but we have to go through a certain process to do things
Sure.
of this nature.
I understand it. I have paid my full price for my permit. I have.
And we thank you for that.
I've paid for the septic and the plumbing and the building. But I guess I thought it was more my responsibility as a citizen of this town to also say there should be other citizens that, will hit this, and maybe we can address it. So.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Okay.
And I'll echo what everyone else here has said. It's like anything else we do, right? That there's a period of review and hopefully we're pretty regular with it, but times have changed pretty drastically in the last 8 years, right, since the last time these were adopted. And while it is recommended that the planning board review them annually, you know, that's that group has also changed and evolved significantly in the last 8 years as well. So you had a question for David? Did you want David to weigh in
just
now, or?
Thought, no, it doesn't have to be now, but it looks like we're gonna have to have some inner conversations and find out what we wanna do about this.
Yes.
But I'm interested to hear what David and the code enforcement officer.
Certainly when you consider in the last year that the price of a 2x4 went from, $2 to 12 at one point or whatever it was. Building costs may not be representative in the best way to establish the fee, but you ought to go back through the process of asking the planning board for input, code officer for input, and then come back and say, yep, they need to be adjusted, or maybe they don't.
Yep, absolutely. As such, can I have a motion, please?
I move that the board instruct the town administrator to work with the code enforcement officer to review the current fee schedule and to then make recommendations to the board of any possible or necessary changes to see that the amount of the fee is reasonably related to the town's actual cost of administering and enforcing the applicable sections of the land use ordinance.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Thank you very much, and once again, thank you so much for taking the time to come in and speak with us.
Thank you.
And
I'll let you know, Sally, when that will be coming back to the board for possible change.
And Mr. Farley, welcome. Please come to the podium. Let's talk about the...
Snow.
No!
It will snow.
I was gonna say the S word, but yeah, okay. Well, we've gone there.
Tom Farley, Farley Inc. And we're readier than we ever have been. We didn't do too much plowing last year. Yeah,
Primed up.
I hope it's that way this year.
Questions for Mr. Farley?
Not really.
We, the sand was finished the other day, that's all installed, and it is 3/8 or less, so we're happy with that, if you know what I mean. We had quite a few broken windows last year.
Yeah.
Is that referring to the size of the sand?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And how's everything else? How's the mailboxes situation?
The
and-
policy's awesome,
Yeah,
it works.
yeah,
It's kind of a pain in the ass sometimes for us, but yeah, it works. Some people get a little anxious about it, but we try to make sure they get the mail. And the policy is, unless we deviate from the center line, then we don't replace the box. We'll put a temporary in, but we won't replace it.
yeah, yep. I don't have any burning hot questions, to be honest, other than,
Kern does.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay, thank you.
I'm not sure if this is a question and or comment or maybe up for further conversation. What is your understanding, if any,
Yep.
of salting? I think you guys call it a hot load, would
Yeah.
be salt only. How is that determined, or are you given direction as far as a determination on that? And the reason I'm asking this question is, hot loads of salt only on dirt roads.
Yeah, so one, we used to have I don't know if he's involved this year, but we were always connecting with your highway foreman. But this is how we do it right now. It's 20-to-1, the mix going in the shed. That is by far, that's pretty much just to keep it from freezing. That's what I would tell you. If you compare it to other towns, Rockport starts at 7-to-1, and then they still do hot loads. So just put it in context. So basically, we have a chart that tells us the temperatures, and we are putting the same rates down on asphalt as we are on dirt, but our frequency is not on dirt like it is on asphalt.
Well,
So, and then we're not really running hot what you would call hot, which would probably be a let me think, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it'd be 1/4 of more salt in the hopper of a 6-yard hopper.
And that is loaded in layers, not mixed.
But
That's
we
loaded
might
in
do,
layers, right?
right, well,
In the sand.
the best they can do. So the other thing would, let me just, and so on asphalt, we might do pure salt though.
I get that.
Yeah.
I get that, and I have no personal problem with that. My problem is I viewed last year
Yep,
straight salt on dirt roads.
Yep.
And when you have roads that haven't got frost in them, then
Right.
we have problems. And we had 2 roads last year that we had some serious problems.
we did, yeah.
And I really would like to do a better job this year of
Okay.
managing that process to be.
Yeah, in
able-
theory, we shouldn't be putting pure on.
No,
No.
but I viewed it.
Okay.
So I definitely, and I
Yeah.
wouldn't say it if I couldn't see it myself, but I did
Understand.
view it. That is the only thing I've got. If we could do a better job of knowing when the hot load.
Well, we
will
pretty
go.
much, so you know, every truck has this, we have the standards before the state.
Mhm.
We don't know if they work as well for municipal, slower traffic, less traffic, slower speeds as they do on the highway when we used to do the highway. But, so we're always less than that. They use a lot more. But again, if you're 7-to-1 and putting it down, that's actually more salt for the rate we put the sand down than you put on the highways. So that's why we start at the 20-to-1. So you should feel comfortable with that, but we should not be putting salt on a dirt road.
I'm just asking that if the drivers could be more cognizant
Yep.
of what we're doing, because with no frost in a dirt road, and you're putting salt on it,
With Bernard not involved, we, as much maybe, or complete, no. Somehow we've got to determine when somebody says no to the dirt roads.
okay?
That's got to be improved, I think. And last year it might have been a little bit different with the response to our request on if we should be doing those at all sometimes.
And I agree with that. Now, personally, I'm not speaking for the rest of the board, nor would I ever do that. I'm good with putting sand on dirt roads. And,
Yeah, well, so I would say you are at 20-to-1.
and we are at this right here, and
Yeah.
I'm good with that. And I'm 60.
Yep.
And I've seen this over the years, and the dirt roads can be effectively maintained with that's been put into that salt sand.
Yep,
I don't know why we would want to put straight salt on a dirt road
No.
unless we had a dangerous emergency ice situation.
Request, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and that's just my own.
that's pretty much,
personal-
that's our policy, so if
Okay,
it's, yeah.
okay, but the reason I bring it up is, I know we had 2 roads that we had some significant issues with in the spring.
You had multiple roads at multiple times of the year that
Correct.
were very, very muddy.
And that's an indication that there was no frost in the road.
Right,
So-
right. And there was no frost in a lot of them for a long time.
Yep, I know.
Yeah.
I know. Okay, Mike.
Yeah, no, good
That
question.
answered it. I think we need to work somehow.
Yeah, I think, what we're gonna miss a little bit is somebody saying, don't touch my dirt roads, because on our side, we're nervous on the liability of you saying, why didn't you do it
Yep.
Monday morning quarterback?
Yep.
So somehow we've got to determine if there's dirt roads shut down even for plowing. When, say the next storm, it snows 6 inches, but it's wet 6 inches and no frost, somebody's got to tell me to plow them.
Yep.
Even though I
And-
think
and
I
get
should, you
that.
know?
We need to work on that on our end too. So,
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
They are the biggest concern, because then when it frosts and it rains hard, they're the nightmare.
Yeah. David, you look like you have a comment.
One thing that Tom didn't mention is some of his crew and I are going over to DOT workshop later in November.
And it's the same one we already used, yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
which just is a good refresher and gets a chance to put name with a face and.
It is, and what I would say to that is unless they've changed, they're just driven to higher speeds. And higher speed, salt works wonderful. You know, we get to go to Portland an hour after a blizzard because of salt and calcium. But on our end here, you gotta keep the roads frozen. Even your asphalt, I think, suffers a lot if we but the good news is whoever determined that 20-to-1 ratio, that's way better than most towns already. Most towns are already what I would call hot anyways. I mean, for parking lots, we use 8-to-1, and I consider that extremely hot. Rockport starts at 7 to 1, and then, again, yes, they do clean up the roads better than all of us probably, but it's a lot of salt.
Interesting. Josh?
Just for clarification purposes for me and perhaps for members of the public. So when you say 20 to 1, does that mean like 20 parts sand, 1 part salt?
Yep,
Okay. That's all. Thank you.
yeah. And I think MDOT will get it down to 7 or 8 to 1 on some of the, but they're always thinking asphalt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the reason there's always some in there, as Tom alluded to, is because if you just put straight sand in there and it's wet, you're gonna have frozen chunks of nothing. Because
Right.
you can't get it out.
Right.
So the salt mixed in with the sand when they stockpile it minimizes freezing. I won't say prevents it, but minimizes.
It is a little difficult with the amount of dirt. Then you have your primaries that are all, in that changeover. So I would say, not to stick up for somebody, but that might be some of the problem with a run that might be the end of the run. And somebody might say, why did you salt that? Well, that's all I had left, because I was doing a primary and I had some left. So I think what we ought to do is I'll make sure that unless there's a request, it doesn't happen.
Okay.
Yeah, Mike, you had a comment or question?
Yeah, to change to another topic, if we're done with this, salt and ratios.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
anything
okay,
pertaining
yeah,
to
no,
one road
yeah, it's
maintenance.
totally minor, but I wanna let you know that at the yard there on Saturdays, starting November through the end of March, for 2 hours, 8 to 10 Saturdays, there'll be people picking up wood at that little wood shed, okay. And just to let you know that there'll be people there.
So the salt shed,
Pardon?
you talking the salt shed?
Yeah, at
Yeah.
the yard there, yeah. And if they're in your way, just let them know.
Yep.
Okay.
I won't, but they will.
Yeah, okay.
Drop the wing.
It should be.
That's how it works.
Yeah, right. It should be maybe 1 or 2 cars, if that, and
There's a-
they're
there's a-
tucked in, tucked back.
And there's a
in there.
lot of people that get, this happened in Hope a lot too, but there's a lot of people that get sand and salt.
Yeah,
Are you still, excuse me,
go ahead.
you know, are you still running a few cameras over
Yep.
there? Okay, good.
Yep, yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of deters it a little bit. They go inside quite often, but you've got the outside and we try to keep that full. There's a lot of people that use it though, I would tell you that, so I'd
Here.
watch, yeah.
Mhm.
Might even be some contractors.
I hope not.
That's why maybe we
I
ought
hope
to,
not.
yeah,
I hope not.
Yep.
That's not good.
Anything else? Thank you very much for
You're welcome.
taking the time to
Thank
come
you,
in and
Tom.
speak
Have a
with
good
us.
evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you
Good
later.
night.
And next up on our agenda, number 8, we have Mr. Stearns here, who wishes to speak to the board about a project that he's got going on. Once you're up at the podium, absolutely.
I'm surprised, this is, sign outside says if you're vaccinated, you don't need it, but recommend it. So anyways, it
We're
doesn't-
erring on the side of caution.
I'm here tonight to ask for maybe some assistance from the town of Lincolnville. Many of you may know, about 6 years ago, we did a fundraiser for the state park and restored, rebuilt Mount Batty Tower. There's a group of us got together and raised a little over $100,000 to actually rebuild the tower in conjunction with the state park and Bureau of Land Management, all the other names that we can call the state park people. Worked out very well, I think, in the long run. Fundraising's not fun, I'll tell people that up front. But we partnered with the town of Camden on that project, and they were our fiscal agent, which made it very handy because people could send donations straight to the town and it would get applied to our account. It allowed people to use that as a tax deductible donation, and it really made the funding aspect very transparent. There was, some of you guys may remember, United Midcoast Charities kind of had some problems a few years ago. And there were some concerns when we were doing the fundraising, and by utilizing the town of Camden, really gave people more confidence in the way the funding came in and was paid out. Now, during that whole project, in the back of my mind, I hiked Bald Rock every month of the year. I've done it for 9 years now. And I've watched the lean-tos on top of the mountain. There are 2 lean-to shelters, and I don't know if everybody knows what a lean-to is, but I look at those as primarily a safety structure. If you're caught in a thunder and lightning storm, you want to get under cover. If you're up there in the wintertime hiking, even summertime, rains and all that, if you can get under cover, you're doing a whole lot better. Those people that go up and camp, they want to get out of the weather. The lean-tos right now are in deplorable shape. It's a shame, but it's just the way it is. I have made an offer to Charlene Hood. I don't know if you guys are familiar with her. She's the new park ranger down at Camden Hill State Park. And we've been talking about this for 2 years.
Yeah, since I got there, about 2 years.
And the timing for me is right, so to speak. So I have offered the state to do a fundraising effort to replace both those lean-tos on top of Bald Rock. I've told the state if they'd let me do it and kind of get out of the way, I would provide the funding. We would purchase the lean-tos that are comparable to what's there, but exactly what gets used in Baxter State Park. And I will have them delivered to her parking lot and hopefully arrange to have a way to get them from there to the top of the mountain so they can be assembled. And the problem, I don't want to call it a problem, but what I'm looking for is, last time I used the town of Camden. Camden has come out here in the last couple of months. They're extremely overwhelmed with workloads, et cetera, et cetera. So I didn't want to approach them this year. Plus I figured the lean-tos are really in Lincolnville. I'd like to utilize Lincolnville if the town of Lincolnville would agree to that. We're looking at doing a fundraising effort of a total of $25,000, which isn't, by today's standards, a lot of money, but still got to go out and raise it. And I'm a glutton for punishment.
Sounds like it.
But we had some fun with the tower. Great friends. I've already got 4 people involved, and we're ready to kick off the fundraising, but we need a fiscal agent to really bring this program together. And I've brought Sunshine in tonight, so if people had questions about the whole project or the vision, if I can't answer them, I maybe deflect to her. So if people have questions, I'd love to answer them.
Sure. Questions for Randy or Sunshine? And if for Sunshine, we'll have to make you come up to the podium so the folks at home can hear the whole conversation.
So those are state structures,
They are.
state main structures, but they're in the town of Lincolnville, both of them.
Yeah, they're both right on top of Bald Rock.
Yep, okay. That's all I have.
Okay.
I don't think 50 years ago, when your dad was a scoutmaster and we used to hike and stay, I think we used to stay in the ski shelter when
We
we
did.
would go up.
Yeah,
And
yeah. I feel that the Snowmobile Club, the Lincolnville Mountain Goats, I believe they use those regularly. There were rides for seniors up there, and have been for the last 3 to 5 years, I think. And they do a couple of events up there now, but I would like to see the Lincolnville Snowmobile Club involved in that too, because I think it would put them on the map
Love to have them
as
help us,
well.
work
I
with
don't,
us.
I don't know.
I'll be
what-
honest, right now, the 2 lean-tos that are up there, holes in the roof,
Yeah,
so they're not dry.
yeah, they were tough.
They're built right on the ground, so you don't get the air circulation through them. The back wall of one or both of them has literally collapsed out. There's the lower of the 2, I don't know how you want to describe it, but heading more towards the Frohawk Trail is so full of mold right now, I would not want to see people staying in that. If if we can work together, which Sunshine has got people she works with, they need to be elevated a little bit so air can circulate through them and you're not wicking the moisture right up out of the ground into those structures. I'd like to get them back so the Boy Scouts or whoever wants to use those. I mean, I have no control over the state park doing this, really, just for the safety reasons and for the community. I mean, the amount of people that use the state park, especially in the last 2 years, has been phenomenal. And I feel we're missing out on a great way to get people into the outdoors. And I love being in the outdoors myself personally. And if we can give something back to the community, I think this is a great way to do it. So,
Has the state responded to your request of
to do this,
Yeah.
We'll put you
short
on.
answer that I want to give is no, because I have not sent a permit through the state to get the final approval.
Okay.
But I need a physical agent before I feel comfortable enough to want to undertake this.
Okay.
So, yeah, we've had quite a bit of discussions ongoing about this, also with Randy, and then I have with my supervisors as well, and showed them photos and everything, and everyone is definitely on board to have it, you know, taken care of, and we're still trying, it's a historical part of the park, you know. It was built with CCC originally, and then in '93, Boy Scout International Group came up there and redid it over with the maintenance crew from the park system. So we're definitely behind it. It's just, you know, money coming up, and money for everything, you know, is ongoing thing. And then we do have quite a good group of volunteers and that we could use as well. So, because getting the materials there, that's going to be part of the fee of it all. And I'm actually working on getting a grant right now for a matching grant for $100,000 to do work on trail systems there. So next year there'll be a lot going on there with MCC coming in and doing trail work. And I proposed actually this morning, which you don't know about, is about doing some work on that trail to the ball drop as far as we can get to it. Because we're looking at evacuation sites throughout the park. It's one of the main things that we're looking at. So, and so we've had always have incidents and injuries and lost people and stuff, which is part of Lincolnville Fire Department has been part of, as well as Camden, and then we've had Rockland and Rockport and police and ambulances and, you know, a variety of people. So we're trying to create more evacuation sites along with the whole safety issue. Of course, those things are a hazard for anybody to be in. You know, we don't want them in it at all. So, but you know, we don't always know who's up there for sure. You know, it's not like they make a reservation and go up there. People just go up there. So
Yeah.
So, but we are behind it 100%.
Any other questions for, Josh?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I think this is a wonderful idea. Randy, I was wondering, how long do you see the fundraising period taking? Because the thing that I'm thinking about is in terms of town resources, of just managing the funds coming in and transferring it. Just
I'd love to give you an definitive answer tonight, because it would make my life easy. When we were doing the tower restoration, we had one donor give us $25,000. If somebody wanted to step forward tonight for $25,000, I could go out here and my life would be easier and everybody's would be easier.
Going once, going twice.
We had donors of $10,000, multiple $10,000 donors, which, again, I take a couple of those. I can't say exactly.
Okay.
I would envision before springtime having $25,000. I'm utilizing, the Masons in Rockport, who I'm a member of the Masonic Lodge down there, but Grand Lodge of Masonry in Maine has a community betterment grant. For every dollar raised, they will match it with $2 up to $7,000. So, I mean, that's basically, 40%, something like that, of the fundraising.
Yeah.
once I kick it off, I would love to get this wrapped up early. Once that gets done, I'm still raising money for the tower, and we've been contributing probably $1,000, $2,000 a year since then. Once we hit our goal, because there is an ongoing maintenance issue with the tower and we actually just put up a big,
Interpretive panel.
interpretive panel, that's what she calls it, I
Yep.
call it history board or whatever.
Yep.
And Sunshine needed it done in a hurry, so I again said, if you don't mind.
Yep.
She and I sat down, talked about where we wanted, what it looked like. We paid for it, we got it done for her, and had it done in time for the rededication in August, so. It's a cooperative effort.
Yep.
And I think so far, since she's been there, there's been a good relationship, I hope, at least
Yep.
in my opinion.
Yep.
And I don't anticipate, Josh, the biggest thing is I gotta have a check as of when I originally priced them out for $7,950 per lean-to coming from Katahdin Homes, all custom built, ready to go, but they'll be in a package. So there's two of those. I'm looking at roughly $4,000 to hire a helicopter to move the kits from the parking lot to the top of the mountain, so we don't have to disturb the mountain. And then you're gonna have associated costs with once you get stuff up there, so we want some contingency money. So that's, in a nutshell, if somebody's got great ideas for fundraising, I'm always open, because, again, that's what we're looking at. I just can't give you a definitive answer on time, because it really depends on how the donations come in.
Thank you.
And Mike, you had a question or comment?
Yeah, well, I'm all for sending this to the town attorney for getting more guidance and all that, but I wanna ask Dave a question. Can you speculate as to how burdensome, how much work this might be, for you all?
I'm gonna take a pass, kinda like
Yeah.
Randy, but I'm gonna do my best.
No, I'm asking you to
For tw-
speculate here.
For 25,000, it's probably not gonna be overwhelming to us, unless it comes in 50-cent donations at a time that we have
Yeah,
to track,
like
which
the
I
penny-
don't.
the penny jars?
Which I don't suspect it will. And then it sounds like just a couple of checks out
I'm hoping very
near the end, so it isn't as burdensome as it could be.
Okay.
If they're obviously, the more donations there are, the better it is community-wise, but in terms of accounting-wise, there's,
Okay.
you've got to receive it and do something with it and take care of it. And, for, great project, we've never been a fiscal agent, as Randy's asked, except for, the only parallel I could draw was down on the sewer district, but we in turn applied for a grant there, and townspeople said, yeah, go ahead and do it. So, that's why I just want to make sure we cross our Ts and dot our Is, so that we don't take on something that we shouldn't be doing without the necessary authority. And I didn't bother to try and get the answer and spend the town's money without you saying, yep, it's a great idea to do that.
I will say, if you need a reference point, there's a nice lady in Camden, I think her name's Jody.
Yep.
Has been
Oh, her.
fantastic work with. In the last 12 months,
Yep.
we made a handful of donation deposits with her, and I think she wrote 3 checks for this
Yep.
interpretive board. That was the extent of the whole year of what we,
Yeah.
I believe, dealt with Jody on this.
Yeah, they-
Finance department, however you want to look at that.
Yep.
So, not anticipating, I don't want to burden the town, please understand, that's not.
We understand.
Yeah. And Kern, you had a.
Yeah, just one more thing. So I would assume this would be unlike the relationship that you must still have with the town of Camden, because you've got reciprocal maintenance on that project. Is this project gonna go from X date to this date, and then it's okay, we're done? Or would we need to continue as a reciprocal agent because of reciprocal maintenance?
If I can envision, and I'm hoping, to be honest with you, that donations come in, And at some point, we basically stop accepting donations and either leave that money in a fund here or with a fund within the state park. So if they need to go back and do staining or replacing boards or whatever the case, there may be some funds available. I still have roughly, I'm gonna guess, between $18,000-$20,000 in the Mount Batty account. And that's for ongoing maintenance and projects strictly for the Mount Batty Tower.
But that's
This
managed
fund
from the town of Camden,
will
by the town of
be
Camden, right?
only for the lean-tos and,
Yep.
and their night climate. I don't want to commingle and.
Yeah, but that money that you've got for the maintenance of that particular structure, that's still managed by the town of Camden, or is that?
And when you say manage, they do not have it in an interest-bearing account. They don't do a thing with it, which is a little disappointing because I hate to say, every 2 years I gotta replace a generator on that mountain. The interest that we could be earning other places would pay for those generators, but I'm not pushing the issue. I'm just fortunate that they've been as grateful as they have been, so,
Okay.
you know, we just kind of roll with it, so to speak.
Excellent point, though, and perhaps, you know, I think once, to all the really excellent points that were brought up tonight, I think once we figure out what the legal mechanics and obligations we have are, I don't think any one of us are adverse to trying to move this thing forward and support you in getting this done. So, you know, perhaps in the future, we just revisit all of these concepts to make sure that we're working within constraints and time frame that work for the town.
That sounds good.
Sound good?
The only thing I ask is I would love to get this project kicked off before the end of the year.
Yep.
Because there are donors who would donate in 2021.
Yep.
And then they're gonna be looking for donation homes in 2022. So if I can double dip some of these people, and I know they do exist out there, I'd love to hit them up. And
Excellent.
finish this project sooner than later.
Excellent point. As such, can I have a motion, please, to get the ball rolling?
I move the town administrator inquire of the town attorney the town's ability and liability to act as fiscal agent for non-town projects and provide that guidance to the board at a future meeting for our consideration.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing nothing, all those in favor? And we will have, we'll reach back out to you, once we get, whether there's anything we have to do or not, and then move forward.
I appreciate your time tonight, and I hope to work with all of you in the future.
Thank you so much for coming in and speaking
Thank
with
you.
us.
Thank you.
And next on our agenda, if there's nothing more on that, moving along, we have a report from our solar array purchase committee. Whoever wants the hot seat.
You can answer all the questions, so.
We'll take it.
Welcome.
Oh, thank you. I know everybody knows me, so John Williams for the record. I'll let that warm up. So, the solar array at the firehouse, was commissioned, December 31st, 2016. So, first full year of production was 2017. And, the town has an opportunity to purchase the array from Revision Energy, who's been operating it up until now. So Dave wanted our committee to just have another look at that and make sure it still makes sense to buy out the array. Okay. So, where shall I begin here? I guess right to the heart of it, the buyout cost in January 2022 is going to be $59,725. I have an email from Revision quoting that price, a recent email.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's the price. And then, so the recommendation, I'll just read that. The Solar Array Purchase Committee recommends that the town purchase the firehouse solar array from Revision in January 2022 for the offered price of $59,725. Just to remind you, the original cost was around $120,000, that's as I recall it. So you're getting this for about half price after having bought electricity from Revision for 5 years, so they get their profit out of that. And, okay, but when you acquire the solar array, you're also going to acquire responsibility for maintenance and insurance. So the CMP standard connection fee is going to come to, has been $1,408 per year. If you have 7 meters, there's a certain charge per meter, so it adds up to this. Maintenance contract with Revision is $724. Again, that's from the email I got from them. The inverter replacement, there's 5 inverters, and they have an expected lifetime of 15 years, 5 of which have already been spent. So in another 10 years on average, you can expect to buy the 5 inverters. Revision estimates that at $7,160. So I put here a tenth of that, assuming 10 years. You can prorate it out. So I just added that in. And insurance, I estimated $600. I guess we don't know for sure yet, but that's maybe higher than it will be. I don't know. Okay. So by purchasing the system, the town's going to realize a net savings because it no longer has to pay Revision for the electricity. And as we're going to see below, the sooner you buy the array, January is the first possible date, the more money you're going to save over the long term. Okay? So that's the benefit. Just buy it as soon as you can. But then the risks are these solar panels any good? What if they just start breaking? Okay, shouldn't be a problem. The solar panels are warranted for a total of 25 years, so 20 more years. They quote degradation, 0.5% loss in generating capacity per year. So in 35 years, you might expect to still be making 84% as much electricity as you do now. And then we talked about the inverters, and one kicker here, one driver for you to buy it is in the power purchase agreement with Revision. The cost of electricity escalates at 2% per year, so the longer you wait, the more and more and more you're going to be paying. On the other hand, you're going to acquire your maintenance costs. You're going to be saving on electricity, but you're going to be paying for maintenance. So how does that balance out? This little figure here came off the town's website, and it just shows from 2017 up to 2021. The green line is the estimated production in the PPA, and it's been overproducing all of those years, or actually every year, more or less overproducing. So they're good, they're healthy, they have a warranty. I think it's a good thing to buy. Okay, so we'll get down to it now. So we compared the 20-year total cost of electricity, because that's the term of the PPA. So we went just for 20 years, with and without a buyout, to see what the total long-term savings would be. And the figure down here shows that the town would save the most money, about $61,000 for the 20-year period, if the buyout occurs in January 2022. So I think I can just go down to that. So this is, the blue is what you pay with the buyout, and the red is without the buyout. Okay, and if this is cumulative, so the first year this is what you paid, and then the second year adds on to that, so it's more and more and more. And of course there's no with or without buyout, they're identical for these first 5 years. Then you do a buyout, you have a balloon payment. But without the buyout, the red keeps increasing faster than the blue, which is that's maintenance costs, making the blue bars go up slightly, but the red bars go up faster because of the 2% escalator. So the crossover point, the break even, is around 2030, where the You can see that, I have wires in my way here, so I don't dare walk there. But that's where the red and the blue are about equal. And then beyond that, the savings is the difference. Red subtract the blue, that's what you're saving. So that's $61,000 out there at 20 years. One person on our committee said, well, the PPA just lasts 20 years, but we expect the array to keep going, year 21, 22, 23. So there we just did the same thing and played it out to the year 2052, that's 35 years. And there, the savings is predicted to be $226,000 if you buy it out here. But what if you wait another year or another to buy it out? What do you get? So I just ran this over and over again, looking out at the 20-year point, and say we buy out here, or what if we bought out here, or what if we bought out there? And the answer there is this way. So the saved amount is the difference, just like we have the red minus the blue. That's the same thing shown here with different colors. So the savings is big if you buy it out in January, and then you get less and less savings if you don't buy it out, and of course no savings if you wait till the 20th year. Okay, so because of that, we're saying, yep, no brainer, buy it out as soon as you can afford it, and save the most money. Okay, any questions? Yes,
Back to inverter replacement.
yes.
Is there a environmentally friendly way and cost-effective way to dispose of that type of waste?
I don't know the answer to that. I don't know. But given the industry, it's solar and environmentally conscious, I'll be very surprised if there aren't, there's copper. That's valuable. It's a valuable metal. There's other good metals in there. I'll be surprised if they're just throwing that away in a landfill. It's worth money.
I think about what's it gonna cost us once we replace those? Is it gonna be a huge fee to, dispose of them? And also get the liability off the town when we're disposing of those? Or do we need to do a little bit of research on that? Because I've quickly looked myself and I don't see a good environmentally friendly way.
Okay.
And look, I'm a mechanic, I don't do this, John, you do.
No, well,
So it is a question that I have, and I'm not the only one that has that question. So
yeah.
I'm just wondering if there is an environmentally and cost-effective way to take those off the town's hands.
Sure. You want me to check with revision? I'll be real happy to do that.
If we can, that's just a,
No, I can.
Sure.
I mean, I can do
Yeah.
that.
It's a great question.
Yeah, it's a
Very
good question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Other questions for Don?
This looks like a no-brainer to me.
Yeah.
Save a ton of money.
And thank you so much for really looking at it from every possible perspective to offer us some really comprehensive data to be able to help us come to recommendations for the voters.
Yeah. So on this disposal, I mean, like tires, there's a, what is it, $4 or $5 disposable fee for each tire, so we're gonna I'll find out if there's such a fee for this.
Sure. Great.
Yeah, and I'll just send an email to Dave,
Yeah.
maybe as soon as tomorrow, unless you're gonna make a decision now, but you don't have to, you're not gonna buy it out till January.
Well, there's, as Kern so aptly put earlier, we will be moving with all due municipal speed
There you go. Yeah.
along our process.
Yes.
And so this is just sort of assuming the board takes action, kind of the next step now that we have digested this information.
Yeah.
David, do you have anything to add?
No, I mean, the numbers seem to be as good now as they were 5 or 6 years ago when we started down this road. And the array has functioned as anticipated.
Or better?
And saving money is always good.
Yep.
So,
Yeah. Excellent. Thank you so much,
Yes,
Don, for
okay,
this,
you're welcome.
this presentation.
Thank you,
David,
Dawn.
would you mind switching the,
I'll switch back to, if you're done with John and the presentation.
I think so.
Yeah.
I've never seen our seal lit like this. It's so dramatic.
I know,
I
isn't
like
it?
it.
I know. Sometimes it's like pre-meetings or whatnot if we're just waiting for, yeah. Well, it's always satisfying when long-term planning and a project is executed and that the follow-through is as satisfying as the
very
beginning
neat
process.
as
So, does anyone care to make a motion then?
I move that the town administrator inform Revision Investments LLC of the town's intention to purchase the existing solar array per our power purchase agreement as soon as it is available to us, so that the necessary purchase documentation can be obtained for the board's review and consideration.
So moved?
Second.
Seconded, further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor? Thank you all very much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for your time.
You betcha.
Have a
Very
great
nice.
evening.
Thank you.
Oh no, but you are allowed to leave early.
That's right. You didn't have to stay the whole time.
But we appreciate you staying.
Stay though.
But there's lots of other.
No, see you later, Cindy.
Bye.
Good night.
Bye, Sally.
Bye-bye.
Next up, we have our continuing conversation regarding the state's legislation regarding gender-neutral changes to town government documents. And we have our town attorney's input on that. And so I open it to the board for discussion.
Well, I guess I'll start and say this is going to be really annoying and painful, and we should still do it because some board at some point will do this, and so let's just get it over with. That's how I see it.
I agree with that. I know it's gonna be tough because of history repeating itself and us being so used to, and everybody being so used to the terminology that has been used for years. But I agree. I think we should move this along. It seems like quite a process, but I think the sooner we get it moving, the quicker it'll be done.
No, I agree. Yeah, no, it looks like it is gonna be quite a process, but yeah, I think it's just time to, rip the Band-Aid, as it were, and do it now.
Well, or if I could throw out to the
Please.
board, say, do it now, but in the scope of all of the other good and worthy projects that we have for consideration, in your packet is the suggestion of us quantifying the financial responsibility regarding tackling this time frame, all of those municipal time frame goodies. So I would encourage the board to generally agree that we include it in our priorities workshop that we're going to have, so that it can be part of all of the good and worthy projects that we're considering in the near term, and to be able to figure out, is it a now project, considering what now means for the board, or is it a near term, or just how do we prioritize it financially and time wise?
Yeah, no, I should have said rip the bandage off responsibly. That's what I meant.
With all due municipal speed.
Yes, yes.
Which, it sounds like a bad joke, but how it works. So, does that sound like a reasonable approach to take the first steps?
Absolutely.
I think
Yes,
so.
indeed.
Okay, great. Thank you all. And moving along, David, would you, actually, this was a request by Mike to have a conversation about some of the regional conversations.
Yeah, I just noticed this, and there's a reprint of this article that was in the Knox Village Soup. I just noticed that, and I asked David to reprint the article, include it for you all to see, because it brings up an interesting point. And I'm not interested in a lot of the points that come out in the letter having to do with
Who said
drama,
what, yeah.
any of that stuff. But he does raise an interesting point in the letter that perhaps the town might want to make sure that the money that came from Waldo County they've dotted all the i's, followed all the t's, and they had, just their Waldo County charter allowed them to give it to us properly, that there aren't any controlling state administrative statutes, that type of stuff, that they may have missed. The only reason I say that is because the town might be on the hook if it was given out improperly. 5 years from now, the federal government may come and say, well, you guys took that and you could have had the opportunity to find out if it was given to you properly, and you didn't take that opportunity, and now we want that money back. I don't know if the federal government would do that, but to me, it would not hurt to ask the Waldo County Commission to ask for the language that they base a decision on.
Sure, yeah, Kern, you had a thought.
I agree with that. I don't necessarily feel that we need to ask any questions of the whole group, but we do have a commissioner that lives in this town that I think we could invite to have a conversation with us to talk about the procedure with how they came to the decision for us to get what we got. And were all the i's dotted and the t's crossed. I think we would ruffle little to no feathers by having a one-on-one conversation with a Lincolnville person who's our representative to, I don't, in fear of feathers being ruffled, think we would be better served to have a conversation with our representative to the Waldo County Commissioners than having them all, asking them all.
I hear
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, no, I hear what you're saying, and I don't want to
guess
ruffle.
if we pen a letter to them
Yeah.
generically,
Yeah.
sometimes you're not getting the sentiment or the tone that you do when you're in person.
I get you there, and I don't want to ruffle in
No.
any way. However, at the same time, I would hope at the end of that conversation that we might have with Betty, that she'd be able to point to clear language that was used, and that we would be able to file away in a file before we go out doling out ARPA funds.
Yeah.
That's all.
And Josh, you had your hand up.
So I actually have a different concern than that. I'm not terribly concerned about their authority to give us $20,000 in ARPA funds as long as we spend it according to what's allowed. It's certainly having a conversation with our commissioner. I welcome that. My concern is similar to what was raised by people in Knox County, although I certainly would not want to take that approach in any way. But I am wondering if our county commissioners have it in their authority to spend ARPA funds without going through their county budget committee, which I'm a member of. It just would give me reassurance if we had an attorney, it doesn't have to be our attorney, but an expert in this who in Maine law and reads the Waldo County statute and can say, with confidence in a written letter, yes, they have that authority. I just would like to see
For their process, you mean?
For their
I think
process.
you're both asking the
Well,
same
I
thing.
think
is
we
what
all
I'm
are.
saying.
similar.
Yeah, I was wondering, did they need to pass it to their budget committee?
Yeah.
What
What
are the mechanisms
Yes,
by which you
yeah,
distribute
right.
funds?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the only, I don't know if Knox County, Waldo County, if they have the same charter language.
No
If it's
idea.
applicable, I have no idea.
Yeah.
But I'd kind of like to find out.
I know it's not identical, but one thing that bothers me is that the towns weren't consulted. Now, to be fair to the Waldo County Commissioners, they were very gracious in having members of the public come and speak. You spoke there. So night and day difference, it seems, in terms of the how they interacted with the public and elected officials. But regardless, they didn't invite all the towns to come and have a conversation about how they were going to spend the $7.7 million, and I would have appreciated that.
So, does the board want to start with inviting our elected representative to the commissioners to start that conversation and see where it goes?
I think that's a great idea. At the same time,
I do.
I think we might want to let her know that we have certain concrete expectations. We would, at the end of the conversation, we would hope we would be able to see specific language or language from their attorney or however it would come down, that the mechanisms would be clear and plain and obvious to all, that type of thing.
And it could be as simple as them saying, "Oh yeah, we have that. Here you go."
Yeah,
Right,
Read
and
it,
then
and
it could
then we're
hopefully
good.
come in our packet so that we can.
we might,
Yeah,
however that works.
yeah. David, any expansion on that you might?
I just want to know whether you want something in writing first, second, Betty first, whatever you want, I'll request.
Well, I would suggest, I don't know how you want to communicate with Betty, but communicate to Betty that we'd appreciate it if she would bring some written evidence, I guess.
Well, or if the
Or how
commissioners
it
or I don't know what their administrative body is for the commissioners.
They don't have an administrator, I believe. I think
The
But,
the
oh, that's right, Water
county
County.
clerk's as close as you're gonna come, and
But if they have some
something.
charter documents or
Yeah.
administrative guidelines, policies, et cetera, that they could readily send to us so that we can educate ourselves, and if there's any
Sure.
blaring gaps in process or procedure, then we can maybe explore those.
And I don't know if it's unreasonable for me, if I'm being too paranoid or too, that, but I would hate to see that, sometime down the road, taxpayers are on the hook for 20 grand.
Yeah.
That's just not right.
Yeah, I think it's an excellent question to raise. I would hope that us given a gift with clear guidelines, that if we adhere to that, any deficit leading up to that would be the responsibility of the county, I would hope.
So would I.
But again,
But we are the county.
we
You know
also
what I mean?
are,
Yeah.
But as a body, I would hope that it would revert back to that, but there's absolutely no excuse for assuming something like that either, so I don't think there's any harm in having the conversation.
Right. Yeah, it seems like we can be, no one else in our county seems to be asking that question, so we can, take a lead on that, but starting with that conversation, I think is good.
So Josh, I have a question for you. After reading this, and there's more in local media today about this,
Oh, wow.
and you saying what you've said here tonight, and you are part of that, that committee, have you seen anything? Or a heads up, look, we're gonna be working on this, as far as this funds distribution, or any of that?
Sorry, any
For
of,
the budget committee.
For the budget, for the county budget
Mhm.
committee, have you seen any of that? Have they talked to any of you about
No.
that? They haven't?
Nothing,
Huh?
nothing, not yet.
Okay.
It is surprising, it seems, when compared to our process of how we function here
Well,
in
and maybe-
town, but I am embarrassed to say that I am very ignorant of their process and procedure and what they're obligated to.
Okay.
Mhm.
Well, current to your point, I zoomed into a county commissioner meeting, Water County Commissioner meeting, few months ago, when they talked about, they were talking about the dispersal of funds. Yeah. And there's some people physically present who said, are you sure you don't need to pass this through your budget process? And I can't remember their exact words at all, but it's on, it's recorded. But anyway, they said, no, yeah, we are sure. We don't have to. We talked with our attorney and about just that point. And then they made reference to, and in addition, we have a finance director. I think that was the title, finance director, who in lieu of the budget committee is giving us advice. I could sit, I'm doing this from memory, 2 months, so I.
The minutes, I actually read the minutes recently and it said the same thing.
Okay.
Maybe they do have a written process or
Yeah.
something like that, but it would just be nice to know so
Yeah.
that we don't have to have bad dreams about this happening.
Yeah, sure.
You know what I mean?
Well, and
I'm not trying to get us into
No,
debate.
I get it,
believe
I
me.
get it. No, I get it.
Yeah,
And it is hard, as we all know, the perception of the public and the process and certain entitlements around certain conversations, but it's just nice to know and to ask, and
yeah.
sometimes if the answer is yes or no or whatever it happens to be, at least we have done our due diligence, right?
Yeah.
And this doesn't have to be, I don't think this will be seen as antagonistic at all.
Yeah.
We're just trying to clarify.
Yeah. I hope,
And that's all.
I mean, I think it's our duty to be really careful.
Yeah.
Because it's a complicated and important gift that we're being given, and so to be slow and thorough and thoughtful about it is a good thing. Yeah. Yeah, thank you for all of the points raised here tonight. Anything else for this evening? David, are you clear on at least the beginning of the conversation?
I believe so.
Okay, great, super, thank you. Moving along to Selectmen Updates. Kern, do you have an update for us?
Good new truck. No, that's not what you want.
That is not
I've got
appropriate.
I have nothing to report at this time.
Okay, Josh, do you have an update for us?
Yes, I do. Well, the first thing is I'd like to proudly say that our Midco Solid Waste Facility Manager won the Manager of the Year award at the Mid-Coast Resource Recovery Association conference.
Very cool.
And that is due to his work recovering lawnmowers and bikes and different things that were brought to the transfer station to be thrown out. Something he just enjoys doing, fixing this stuff up, and that those efforts have been recognized statewide. So that's really incredible.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Yeah. And then in terms of broadband, we're having a broadband committee meeting on Thursday at 6 p.m. We're going to review the three offers that we got from different consultants, and the proposals, and we're going to decide then which of those three, or all of them, or none of them, should move forward in the interviewing process. And I believe that's it. I don't think I have anything. I mean, this is you've got this news here about what happened with the Knox County Commissioners, but we haven't had a meeting yet since our last meeting with the coalition.
Okay. You look like you have a question.
No,
Okay.
that's my normal look.
Okay. Mike, do you have an update for
No, I
us?
don't, no.
All right, and I have no update, but we're looking forward to the EMS Review Committee meeting coming up here shortly. Assuming that it happens. And we have the treasurer and payroll warrants to approve and sign. If someone would care to make a motion.
I move that the board approve the treasurers and payroll warrants.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor? Thank you very much. And we do have an executive session to discuss the possible disposition of real property But I did want to just ask a question of our town administrator, if everybody's okay with it, regarding non-agenda item B and the shoreland zoning updates, the update of the legislation, correct, David, with the requirement of
Photos?
before and after photos, and is that something we can look forward to including in a conversation about amending our ordinance?
Yeah, I think you're gonna see that on your priority list.
Okay.
For the benefit of anybody that hasn't seen the packet or listening at home, if a shoreland zoning ordinance is amended, you now have to include the provision that before and after photos get taken of the shoreline, which is always a good thing because it's information upon which, you know, the future gets based. And there's always discussion about vegetation and things like that. So that's out there and should be in the mix
Okay,
for the next revision.
I had something on just that point.
sure.
That is, yeah, so they're recommending or requiring that this language be inserted in an ordinance.
Yep.
Or shoreline zone. Right now, as we know, the town of Lincolnville is without the ordinance writing committee, the land use ordinance writing committee.
That's correct.
So all I'm saying is, I mean, that's just life, that's the way it is, volunteers and all that stuff. But it kind of this points out the need.
Is this if anybody is
Yeah, it
interested.
is. It's kind of like, yeah, if anybody's watching, please come forward.
And the language for this is pretty specific.
It is. It could be a cut and paste, and I understand that.
Yeah.
It's not like the town will cease functioning if we don't fill that committee the next week. But
But it
still,
wouldn't hurt.
you know, it points out a gap
Sure,
that we're living with.
sure.
But to dovetail back with the conversation earlier about gender neutral documents,
Yeah.
our land use ordinance certainly makes reference to the Board of Selectmen, may make reference to the Board of Selectmen within the shoreland part of that.
Yeah.
If we revise anything in the shoreland ordinance, even if it's just a change from Board of Selectmen to Select Board or whatever you folks wish to call it and the townspeople want to do, we'll have to make sure we insert the language that's required the next time you change your ordinance, so.
Yep.
These all dovetail together.
Yep.
Great.
Anything more on that? All right, so I would like a motion for agenda item number 14, please.
I move that the board enter into executive session pursuant to Title I MRSA Section 4056C to discuss the possible disposition of real property where premature disclosure of information would prejudice the competitive bargaining position of the town.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Thank you all very much.
I'll hit to the camera, I'll give you that.
And Melissa, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Melissa.
Thanks,
Have a
Melissa.
good night.
Don't freeze to
You
death on the
too.
way home.
I know. I'm not even
Having concluded our business during the executive session, having no more business to attend to this evening, can we have a final motion, please?
I move to adjourn.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing